A blessed Sunday to all. Please open your Bibles with me in the book of John chapter 4. We will be discussing from verse 1 up to verse 45. This is a long passage. John 4, 1 to 45, but we will only be reading verses 1 to 6. John chapter 4, 1 to 6. Therefore, when the Lord knew that the Pharisees had heard that Jesus was making and baptizing more disciples than John, although Jesus himself was not baptizing, but his disciples were, he left Judea and went away again into Galilee. And he had to pass through Samaria. So he came to a city of Samaria called Sychar, near the parcel of ground that Jacob gave to his son Joseph. And Jacob's well was there. So Jesus, being wearied from his journey, was sitting thus by the well. It was about the 6th hour. May the good Lord bless the reading of his word. I thank the Lord for the safekeeping that he did for me. I just arrived yesterday coming from the South Mindanao region. I was commissioned to teach there among the pastors. There were 53 pastors who joined the training. It's the first course of the masteral program offered by the Alliance Graduate School. And 53 pastors were there. After the 5-day intensive training, I proceeded to General Santos. I was supposed to be in Davao right away because I took the plane and there is no direct flight coming from Zamboanga to Jensen and Jensen to Zamboanga City. So I chose to fly going to Davao instead of taking 2 flights, which would make the expenses doubled. Because if I would be flying direct to Jensen, the plane coming from Zamboanga would bring me to Manila and then Manila to Jensen and so as coming back here. So I chose to fly via Davao. But after the whole class, Friday in the evening, instead of going directly to Davao, my wife texted me, "Where are you now?" And I said to her, "I am on the way to General Santos City." "For what reason?" I said, "I will be meeting the freshman students of the Shekinah Alliance Bible College because many of them came from the National Alliance Youth Congress who responded during the altar call which I made after my sermon during the last night. And so the president called me and said, "Why don't you come here and meet these students?" And so I was there. I encouraged them and shared to them a word of the Lord. And after which, my wife asked me again, "Where are you now?" And I responded to her, maybe it was around 7 o'clock in the evening or 8. I responded to her telling her, "I am now at Sarangani." And she said, "Why are you there? You said you'll be in Jensen." And I told her, done already with the work or the task in Jensen, now at Sarangani, to meet the team that I work with during the National Alliance Youth Congress. And so if you look at the route that I took during that time, instead of going directly to Davao, coming from Marbel, I came from this side of the blue line. I could go to Davao directly. But instead, I took that yellow line going down to Jensen, then to Sarangani, and then from Sarangani up to Davao. It took me more than almost 5 hours from Sarangani, I think more than, from Sarangani to Davao. I could have taken the shorter route, but I had to pass through Jensen and Sarangani because there are ministerial tasks that the Lord has called me to do there. So I had to pass through Jensen and Sarangani, even if the route is further. Now, as I was looking at the passage, I remember this experience of mine. Why? Because Jesus was in a similar condition. He was in Judean area during the time, and he had to go through to Galilee. He planned to leave Judea from the south of Israel, and he will go to Galilee. And there are 3 routes actually, if you would like to travel from the Judean area to the Galilean area. There are 3 routes that you could take. The first route is passing through the coastal line of Mediterranean Ocean. Or you pass to the other side, which would take you following the Jordan River. So, to your left, that blue-green broken line, this one here, from Jerusalem, you can travel going to the coastal line of the Mediterranean Sea until you reach the Galilean area. Or, you take the extreme side, that broken red line, you take the Jordan River going up until you reach the Galilean area. The third option is the white broken line in the middle. That white broken line would cause you to pass through Samaria. Okay? Which route did Jesus take? He took the middle one. The one in the middle. But here is the thing. Jewish people normally do not take that route in the middle. Especially religious leaders. They will never take that as an option, the one in the middle. And the reason why? If you take that one in the middle, it would lead you through the city of Samaria. Jewish people, especially religious leaders, wouldn't like to be acquainted with the Samaritans, as I have told you many times in the past, because Samaritans were half-blooded Jews. So the Jewish people did not like to have some moments with them. They didn't like to have some time of conversation with them. They don't like to be acquainted with this individual because they would like to preserve themselves. Because ceremonially, you could be declared unclean if you mingle with this type of people, much more if you are perceived by the Jewish society as a holy man. You will not allow yourself to have some fellowship with Samaritans. So Jewish people normally avoided the one route in the middle. But the text tells us, if you look at verse 4, let's look at verse 4. Verse 4 tells us that he had to pass through Samaria. Jesus in Galilee, in Judea, would like to go up to the Galilean area. And he chose the one in the middle, as exactly there in the text, it says he had to pass through Samaria. And when I read this line, this is not the normal route that Jewish people would take, much more for a religious leader. Why did he have to pass through Samaria? I ask that question. If this route was avoided by the Jewish elders, if this route was avoided by religious leaders, if this route was avoided even by normal, ordinary Jewish people, why did he have to pass through Samaria? I was wondering. And so the journey of Jesus passing through that middle route took place. He started walking, and then the text tells us that he arrived there at the place, the city called Sychar, where the well of Jacob was located. He arrived there, and he was tired. The city of Sychar is a city in Samaria. Lo and behold, normally when you go to that city, you will see people who are Samaritans. You go to Davao, the most normal people you would see are Davaoeños. You come to Zamboanga, Zamboangueños. You go to Samarian area, normally you would meet people who are Samaritans. So he was there at Jacob's well. He was thirsty. Some individuals may have said probably he wants to pass through Samaria because he wanted to drink water. Not really. Why? Because if he would take the route going through the Jordan River, the first city that he would come was the city of Jericho, which was a lot nearer from Jerusalem. Jericho is very close to Jerusalem. So if it's because of water, that's why he passed through the middle route. No, that's not the reason. Why did he have to pass through Samaria? Now he was there at Jacob's well. And normally, you would see Samaritans. And this time, in the middle of the day, a woman came. Not just a woman, but a Samaritan woman. Why did he have to pass through Samaria? Now he is having a moment of seeing a Samaritan woman. And it was unavoidable now because he was there at Jacob's well, and the woman was bringing something like a pail in order for her to fetch water from Jacob's well. Will Jesus run away from her? No, Jesus did not run from her. What happened was Jesus initiated a conversation. And Jesus said, "Give me a drink." You know what the lady said to him? The lady said, "How is it that you, being a Jew, ask me for a drink? This is unusual. You, being a Jew, ask me for a drink." Meaning, you, being a Jew, is initiating a conversation with me, a Samaritan woman. This is unusual. Why did he have to pass through Samaria? Now he is in a conversation with this lady. This can be a basis for him to be declared ceremonially unclean. And if you are ceremonially unclean in the Jewish society, you are not allowed to perform the things that you must do, especially during the Sabbath. This is a big thing for the Jewish people when you are declared a ceremonially unclean. And now Jesus is conversing with a woman. Why did he have to pass through Samaria? Now he was having this conversation with a Samaritan woman. Not only a conversation. Because after saying, "Give me a drink," and the woman said, "Why is it that you, being a Jew, is asking now for a drink from me?" And Jesus said, "If you only knew who this person is, who's asking a water from you, you would have asked for a living water coming from him. If you just know this person that you are talking to." And the lady said, "You don't even have something to fetch from the well." What is the significance of that statement when the lady said, "You don't have even anything to use to get water from the well"? What the woman is concerned about is about the being declared as ceremonially unclean. You are talking to me, you are a Jew, and I'm a Samaritan. Now you are asking from me a drink? And that's the implication of that is Jesus having nothing to use to get water would mean that he is going to use the tool of the woman. He's going to use the pail of the woman to drink. Kung bawal ngang makipag-usap, lalo na yung humawak ng isang bagay na hinawakan ng isang person that is perceived to be unclean. You are asking for a drink from me and you don't have anything to fetch from Jacob's well. That means to say, you will be using my own pail. That's another thing that's unusual. Why did he really have to pass through Samaria? Now he is conversing with the Samaritan woman and having experienced thirst from his journey, he is now going to drink water using the pail of the woman who is unclean. And so the woman asks, "Why are you asking for a drink from me and you don't have anything to use?" Jesus said, "If you only knew the gift of God, who is it that who says to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him and he would have given you the living water." And she said to him, "Sir, you have nothing to draw. And you are saying that you are greater than our father Jacob because he gave us this well from where we could get something to drink. And you are offering to me something that in which greater than the water that I would get here because you are describing something like a living water? Are you greater than our father Jacob who gave this well to us?" And Jesus said, "Everyone who drinks of this water from Jacob's well will be thirsty again. But whoever drinks of the water that I will give to him shall never be thirsty anymore." Lalong na-curious yung babae. "Do you mean you are greater than our father Jacob, who gave us this kind of water, and now you are offering to us a different kind of water. But because she was curious of that water, and who wouldn't be interested to have that kind of water, she said to Jesus, "Give me that water, sir." And Jesus said to her, "Go and call your husband." And the woman said, "I don't have a husband." And Jesus said, "You are right with what you said, that you don't have a husband, because in the past you have had 5 husbands. Oh. And now you are living with someone who is not your husband." Asa ka ni nagmarites si Jesus? Nakakuha sa ani nga idea. You are right. You have had 5 husbands and you are now living with someone who's not even your husband. And the woman felt that she was facing an extraordinary person, and she said, "I perceive that you are a prophet." Now, I want us to take note the development of her perception about Jesus. When the first time that Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink," she said, "How come, you being a Jew?" She perceived Jesus as an ordinary Jewish man. And then when Jesus offered to her something, an extraordinary drink, she said, "Are you greater than our father Jacob?" So the perception from an ordinary Jew contrasted to Jacob, who is perceived to be great. And now, when Jesus told her the kind of woman she is, she said, "I perceive that you are a prophet." But here is something that I want us to take note. Jesus was not just conversing with a woman. She was conversing with a Samaritan woman, which was bawal. And he was not only conversing with a Samaritan woman, he was about to drink from the pail that was touched and used by the Samaritan woman herself, which was a greater bawal. Bakit kasi? Ngano man gyud? Why did he have to pass through Samaria? Now he is having this kind of conversation. Now he is about to use an object that is touched and used by this Samaritan woman. And now he is conversing with not just a Samaritan woman, an immoral Samaritan woman. A normal Jewish religious leader will be very concerned about himself going through this kind of incidents. He was not just conversing with a woman. He was conversing with a Samaritan woman. He was about to use an object touched by the Samaritan woman, and he was conversing with an immoral Samaritan woman. Imagine that. And that really made me ask more the question, bakit ba kasi? Why did he have to pass through Samaria when he can take the route that is coastal and then the route that would pass through the Jordan River? Why did he have to pass through Samaria? And when Jesus told her, "You have had 5 husbands and now you are living with someone who's not even your husband," she said, "I perceive that you are a prophet." And then the next line that she uttered, a segue. You know, when there is a conversation and the topic makes us uncomfortable, what do? We set the conversation to a different kind of direction. Diba? Mag-gather ng mga dugay na nga nag-classmate, unya after how many years, nagkita sila after graduation, nagkita na sila after how many years. And suddenly one of them would tell the other, "Do you remember that lady? She was your ex-girlfriend, right?" And then the person who was asked with a question would say, let's change topic. "Do you remember what we did when we were in college?" The topic was changed into another topic, and this was the thing that the woman did. She changed the topic. She said, "Our father worship in this mountain, and you Jews tell us that it should be in Jerusalem." And Jesus just went and followed that kind of topic that she was opening up because she was feeling uncomfortable. And then she said, "But the time will come that when the Messiah would come, he will tell us the right thing. He will tell us the right place. He will lead us to righteousness." And then Jesus said, "Yes, a time will come that that thing that you are saying about will happen. And the time is now. Why? Because the person you are talking to, that Messiah, I am He. Now listen very carefully. The revelation that the woman received, she knew Jesus as a Jew, contrasted Jesus with a great man in the history of Jewish experiences, Jacob. And then later she perceived Jesus as a prophet. And now Jesus was revealing to her, no, I'm not just a Jew. No, I'm not just greater than your father Jacob. No, I'm not just a prophet. I am the Messiah. And then what? When that happened, you know what took place after this? The woman believed in Jesus. The woman believed. And at this point, his disciples were not there yet. And so the woman left her water pot. She left Jesus and went into the city and said to the men, "Come, see a man who told me all the things that I have done." What was the response probably of the people surrounding her? What could have been the response of the men? "Come, I saw a man." "We know you, lady. You have had 5 men. You are now living with someone who's not your husband. And it's not a surprise that you're telling us that you met a man again." No. "Come and see, because this is not an ordinary man. He told me about who I am. He knows my past. And he tells me that he is the Messiah. This is not the Christ, is it?" They went out of the city and were coming to him. And then when you look at verse 39 from that city, many of the Samaritans believe in him because of the word of the woman who testified about Jesus. "He told me all the things that I have done." So when the Samaritans came to Jesus, they were asking him to stay with them. And he stayed with them for 2 days. And many more believed because of the word of Jesus. Now they were believing because of the woman. Now listen very carefully. This woman was immoral. And yet Jesus met her. Why did he have to pass through Samaria? When you ask the question, when you read the statement, he had to pass through Samaria, there was a need created in that statement. He had to pass through Samaria. If I may restate it, it was necessary for him to pass through Samaria. What was the reason? Because there was a need. There was a need. Jesus did not need the woman. Jesus did not need the water. He had to pass through Samaria because there was a need in that woman's life that only him can address. What is that need? That need to be satisfied. That need to be addressed, a longing of her soul that nobody else can address. Specified in the coming back to the Jacob's well. She is satisfied when he drinks from that water, but she comes back again because the water from the well can never fully satisfy her. There is a need to find that she longs from men that she slept with before. First husband, second husband, third husband, fourth husband, 5 husbands. And still all of them, there was none of them that fully satisfied her. She's now living with someone that led her to immorality, and still that need remained. Reality is that there are needs that human beings are experiencing in life, and yet nothing in this world can satisfy that need. There was a need in that place, and that need was not of Jesus. There was a need that that woman had in life that only Jesus can address. You ask the question, why did he have to pass through Samaria? Because there was a need. He doesn't need the woman. There was a need in the life of the woman that only him can address. And fascinatingly, this woman who was a Samaritan, this woman who was immoral in her life, was turned by Jesus into a testifier, a person who pointed others toward him. What a change of life. And as I was looking at the question that I have asked, why did he have to pass through Samaria? The very answer to that is that there is a need in Samaria, the need of the woman that only Jesus can address. And as I was looking at this question, I also asked, why did he have to come to earth? Jesus, the darling of heaven, the cause of all that exists. If you look at the book of John, He is there at the beginning. The Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was there at the very beginning. He owns the universe. Matthew 28 reveals to us His authority from heaven on earth. He has the full authority. He does not need anyone. He does not need anything. He does not need humanity. But why did He have to come to earth? Not because He needed us, because there is a need in our lives that only Him can address. And that need, when it's addressed, we would get to appreciate what He did for us. And out of that addressing of that need that we have in life, He brings us into life, a life of transformation, and makes us a pointer of others toward Him. That we can tell the world, I was once like this, but that person changed me. I was once living in an immoral life, but that Jesus changed me. I was once addicted to drugs, but that person changed me. I was once having 2 wives in my life, but that person changed me. I was involved in corruption in the past, but that person, Jesus, changed me. I was mocking Christianity back then, but Jesus, that person, changed me. Imagine what we were before and how we have become today. That changes happened because Jesus came. Why did He have to pass through Samaria is the same question. Why did He have to come to earth? He came not because He needs you, not because He needs me. He came because we needed Him. And you are here today because you received the grace that He has offered you and me. And to me, that's amazing. In any time of my life, when I think of what Christ has done, He left His place in heaven, came in a form of a man, walked His path towards the cross at Calvary, and He extended His hand, grasping His breath, and saying, I am here not because I need this. I am here because you all need this. And to me, that's amazing grace. Today, it's my prayer that as we think about the answer to the question that I have posted, why did He have to pass through Samaria? May we all also think of that question, why did He have to come to earth? And it's all because of our dire need for Him. Now, we are all saved. We are experiencing love. We are lavished by His grace, all because of what He did. He came for you and for me. God bless you all, and good morning.